Parvati Pate Hara 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 Mahadev Mukta Nanda Man Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Guru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Muktananda Mahan Jaya Sadhguru Bhagavan Om Guru Jaya Guru Sachidananda Guru Guru Om Guru Jaya Guru Sachidananda Guru Guru Sachidananda Guru Nityananda Jaya Guru हंसाभ्यां परिवृत्तपात्रकमले दिव्यैर्जगत्कारणे विश्वोकीर्णमनेकदे अनिलये स्वच्छन्दमां मेचया तद्योतं परशम्भवं तु चरणं दीपाङ्कुरग्राहिणां प्रत्यक्षाक्षरविग्रहं गुरुपरं ध्यायेद्विभुं शाश्वताम् मम चतुर्विधा पुरुषार्थसिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगा सुता उवाच कैलासशिखरे रम्ये भक्तिसन्धाननायकं प्रणम्य पार्वती भक्त्या शङ्करं प्रायपृच्छति श्रीदेवी उवाच ॐ नमो देवदेवेश परपरा जगद्गुरो सदाशिवा महादेवा गुरुदीक्षां प्रदेहि मे तेन मार्गेण भो स्वामी देहि ब्रह्मं मयो भवे त्वं कृपां कुरु मे स्वामी नमामि चरणौ तव ईश्वर उवाच मम रूपासि देवी त्वं त्वत्प्रीत्यर्थं वरम्यहं लोकोपकारका प्रश्नो न केनापि कृता पुरा दुर्लभं तृष्णुलोकेषु तत्तुरुष्वावदम्यहं गुरुविना ब्रह्मणान्यात् सत्यं सत्यं वरानने वेदशास्त्रपुराणानि इतिहासादिकानि च मन्त्रयन्त्रादिविद्याश्च स्मृतिरुचातनादिकाम् शैवशाक्तागमादीनि अन्यानि विविधानि च अपभ्रंशाकराणि जीवनं भ्रान्तते च साम् यज्ञो व्रतं तपोदानं जपस्तीर्थं तथैव च गुरुतपमविज्ञाय मुरस्ते चरते जना गुरुबुद्ध्या मनोनन्यात् सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः कलवर्तं प्रयाणास्तु कर्तव्यो हि मनीषिभिः गुरुविद्या जगन्माया देवज्ञानसम्भवा उदयो या प्रकाशेन गुरुशब्देन कथ्यते सर्वपापविशुद्धात्मा श्रीगुरुपारसेवनात् देहि ब्रह्म भवेद्यस्मात् स्वकृपार्थं वदामि ते गुरुपारम्भुजं स्मृत्वा जलं शिरसि धारये सर्वतीर्थावगास्य सम्प्रप्नोति फलं नरात् शोषणं पापपङ्कस्य दीपनं ज्ञानतेजसां गुरुपारोरकं सम्यक् संसारानवतारकम् अज्ञानमूलारणं जन्मकर्मनिवारणं ज्ञानवैराग्यसिद्ध्यर्थं गुरुपारोरकं पिबेत् गुरुपारोरकं पीत्वा गुरुरुष्टिष्टभोजनं गुरुमूर्ते सराध्यानां गुरुमन्त्रं सराजपेत् काशीशेषं तनिवासो जानवी चरणोरकं गुरुविश्वेश्वरा साक्षात् तारकं ब्रह्मनिश्चितं गुरुपारोरकं यातु नायसोक्षयोवचः तीर्थराजा प्रयागश्च गुरुमूर्ते नमो नमः गुरुमूर्तिं स्मरे नित्यं गुरुनामासराजपे गुरुरञ्जं प्रकुर्वीता गुरुरन्यान् भावये गुरुवाक्त्रसितं ब्रह्म प्राप्यते तात्प्रसादता गुरुज्ञानं सदा कुर्यात् तुलसी स्वपतिर्यता स्वशमं च स्वजन्तीं च स्वार्कृति पुष्टिवर्धनम् एतत् सर्वं परित्याज्य गुरुरन्यान् भावये अनन्यश्चिन्तयन्तो मां सुलभं परमं पदं तस्मात् सर्वप्रयत्नेन गुरुराराधनं कुरु त्रैलोक्ये स्फुटवक्तारो देवद्यसुरपन्नगा गुरुवक्त्रसिता विद्या गुरुभक्त्या च लभ्यते उक्कारस्त्वन्धकारश्च ऋकारस्तेज उच्यते अज्ञानाग्रसकं ब्रह्म गुरुरेव न संशयः ऋकार प्रथमो वर्णो मायधि गुणभासका ऋकारो द्वितीयो ब्रह्म मायाभ्रान्ति विनाशनम् एवं गुरु परं श्रेष्ठं देवानामपि दुर्लभम् गणेश्चैव गन्धर्वैश्च प्रपूज्यते ध्रुवं तेषां च सर्वेषां नास्ति तद्वं गुरुपरम् आसनं शयनं वस्त्रं भूषणं वा नारिकाम् साधकेन प्रदातव्यं गुरुराराधनं कार्यं स्वजीवित्वं निवेदये कर्मणा मनसा वाचा नित्यमाराधयेत् गुरुं दीर्घदण्डं नमस्कृत्य निर्लजो गुरुसान्निधौ शरीरम् इन्द्रियं प्राणान् सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदये आत्मधारारिकं सर्वं सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदये कृमिकितभस्मविष्टा दुर्गन्धिमालमूत्रकं श्लेष्मरक्तं च चामंसं पञ्चयेन वरानने संसारवृक्षमारुदा पन्तन्तो नारकर्णवे येन चैवोद्धृता सर्वे तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुविष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः एतवे जगतामेव संसारानावसेतवे प्रभवे सर्वविद्यानां शम्भवे गुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः त्वं पिता त्वं च मे माता त्वं बन्धुस्त्वं च देवता संसारप्रतिभोरार्थं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यत्सत्येन जगत्सत्यं यत्प्रकाशेन पतितात् यदानन्देन नन्दन्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्थित्या सत्यमिदं यभति भानुरूपता प्रियं पुत्रार्या प्रीत्या तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः येन चेतायते इदं चित्तं चेतायते नयं जाग्रत्स्वप्नसुषुप्यारि तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य ज्ञानानिरं विश्वं नादृशं दीनभेदता सरेकरूपरूपाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य मतं तस्य मतं मातं यस्यानवेदसा अनन्यभावभावाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः Yasya karana rupasya karya rupena patiyat karya karana rupaya tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nana rupa miram sarvam nakena pyasti binatam karya karana tacheva tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tarangri kamala dvamvam dvanvata panivarakam tarakam sarvarapadya Shri Gurum pranamamyam. Shive krute guru shrata guru krude shivo nahi tasmat sarva prayanena Shri Gurum sharanam raje. Vande Guru Paradvamvam Vanmanashita Gocharam Shveta Rakta Prabhabinam Shiva Shaktya Makamparam Dukaram Cha Gunatitam Rukaram Rupavarjitam Gunatita Swarupam Cha Yodaryatsa Guru Smrtam Atrinetra Sarvasakshi Achaturbhaurachita Achaturvanano Brahma Shri Guru Katita Priye Ayam Ayanjalir Bhado Dayasagara Vriddaye Yadanugrato Jantus Chitra Samsara Mukti Bhak Shri Guru Paramam Rupam Viveka Chakshashomritam Manda Bhagyana Pashyanti Anda Suryodayam Yata Shri Nata Charana Dvamvam Yasyam Dishi Virajate Tasye Dishe Namaskuryat Bhakta Prati Dinam Priye Tasye Dishe Satatam Anjale Sharye Prakshipyate Mukarito Marupir Buddhescha Jagarti Atra Bhagavan Guru Chakravarti Vishwaraya Pralana Natka Nitya Sakshi Srinatari Guru Trayam Ganapatim Gita Trayam Veravam Siddho Gambatu Katrayam Parayugam Yuti Kramam Mandalam Virandra Shatashushta Shasti Navakam Viravali Panchakam Shri Malini Mantra Raja Saitam Vande Guru Mandalam Abhyase Sakale Sudirga Manile Vyadi Prader Dushkare Pranayama Shatera Neka Karane Dukarmake Durjaye Yasmina Bhute Vinashati Bali Vayu Swayam Takshanat Praptum Tat Sajam Swabhava Manisham Seva Pame Kam Gurum Swadeshika Shiva Sharira Chitanam Bhavedratasya Shivasya Chintanam Swadeshika Shiva Chanama Kirtanam Bhavedratasya Shivasya Kirtanam Yappararenu Kanika Tapi Samsara Varide Setu Bandhayate Natam Deshikantam Upasmaye Yasmadhanuglam Lava Maharadhyana Mutsaje Tasme Shri Deshikendraya Namasha Bhishta Siddhaye Arabjam Sava Samsara Davana Vinashakam Brahmarandre Sitamboja Madhyasam Chandra Mandale Akatari Tire Kapje Sasradala Mandale Hamsa Pashva Chikone Cha Smaretan Madhyagam Gurum Sakala Bhuvana Shusti कल्पितशेषपुष्टिर् निखिला निगमदृष्टि सम्परं व्यर्थदृष्टि अवगुणा परिमर्शिस् तत्परर्थिकदृष्टिर् भावगुणा परमेष्टिर् मोक्षमार्गैकदृष्टि सकला भुवनरङ्गा स्थापनस्तम्भयस्ति सकरुणारसवृष्टि तद्वमाला समस्ति सकला समयसृष्टि सच्चिदानन्ददृष्टि निवसतु मयि नित्यं श्रीगुरो दिव्यदृष्टि अग्निशुदा समं चातु ज्वालपरीक्षकार्या मन्त्रराजामिमं मन्ये हर्निशं पातमृत्युचा तरे जति धने जति तद्दुरे तत्समीपके तरन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तरु सर्वस्य बायता अजोऽहम् अजरोऽहं च आनदीनिधनस्वयम् अविकारश्चिरानन्द आनियन्मतो महान् अपूर्वाणां परं नित्यं स्वयं ज्योतिर्निरामयम् धीरजं परमाकाशं ध्रुवमानन्दमव्ययम् श्रुति प्रत्यक्षमेतेय मानुमानश्चतुष्टयम् यस्य चाप्मा तपो वेद देशिकं च सरस्मरे मननम्य भवं कार्यं तवरमे मामते सारुत्वं च मया दृष्ट्वा त्वयि तिष्ठति सम्प्रताम् अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्परं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्ना विराजिता परम्बुजा वेदान्तम्बुजसूर्यो यस् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण ज्ञानमुपाद्यते स्वयं य एव सर्वसम्प्राप्तिः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमतीतं निरञ्जनं नारबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जगमं चैव तथा चैव चराचरं व्याप्तं येन जगत्सर्वं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानशक्तिसमारुदास् तत्त्वमाला विभूषिता भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदातायास् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता सर्वकर्मविदायिने स्वात्मज्ञानप्रभावेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वं ज्ञानपरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मनता श्रीजगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मम सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानमूलं गुरुमूर्ति पूजमूलं गुरुपरं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुवाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा गुरुरादिरनरिश्च गुरुपरं देवतां गुरुपरतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सप्तसागरपर्यन्ता तीर्थस्नानादिकं फलं गुरुरङ्घ्रिपयो बिन्दु sahasam shrena durlabam. Harurushte gurustrata gururushtena kashana tasmatarva prayanena Shri Gurum Sharanam Vraje. Gurureva Jagat Sarvam Brahma Vishnu Shivamakam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmat Sampujait Gurum Jnana Vignana Saitam Labhyate Guru Bhakti Taha Guru Parataram Nasti Deyo So Guru Margi Bhi Yasma Parataram Nasti Neti Neti Tiveshtuti Manasa Vacha Sacheva Nityamara Dayet Guru Guru Kripa Prasadena Brahma Vishnu Sarashiva Samartha Prabhavadocha Kevalam Guru Sevaya Devaki Nara Gandharva Pitaro Yaksha Charana Munayo Pina Jananti Guru Nevidim Mahankara Garvena Tapavidya Balandita Samsara Kuara Varte Gatayantre Yatagata Namukta Deva Gandharva Pitaro Yaksha Kinnara Rushaya Sarva Siddhascha Guru Seva Parangmuka Yanam Shuru Mahadevi Sarvananda Pradayakam Sarva Sokya Karam Nityam Bhukti Mukti Vidayakam Srimad Parabrahma Gurum Smarami Srimad Parabrahma Gurum Varami Srimad Parabrahma Gurum Namami Srimad Parabrahma Gurum Bhajami Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Vanvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tadvamasyari Laksham Ekam Nitya Vimalam Achalam Sarvadam Bhavatitam Trigunaraitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Nityam Shuram Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityapuram Chiranandam Guru Brahmanamamyam Rudambuje Karnikamadya Samste Simasane Samchitya Divya Murtim Yayet Gurum Chandra Kala Prakasham Shipustaka Vishtavaram Dharanam Shvetambaram Shveta Vilepa Pushpam Mukta Vibhusha Muritam Dvinetram Brahma Kapitya Sitya Divya Shaktim Mandasmitam Sandra Kapaniranam Anandam Anandakaram Prasanam Jnana Swarupam Nichabhora Yuktam Yogindram Nidyam Bhavaroga Vaidyam Srimad Gurum Nityamaham Namami Tasmi Srisi Sitiro Amsa Igranugramakam Nuntyam Panchaviram Shashvat Vasate Tam Namamyam Bhakta Shira Shri Shuklabje Dvinetvam Dvibhujam Gurum Varabhaya Yutam Shantam Smaretam Nama Purvakam Nagarorarikam 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 Shiva Shasanata Shiva Shasanata Shiva Shasanata Shiva Shasanata Tvirameva Shivam Tvirameva Shivam Tvirameva Shivam Tvirameva Shivam Mama Shasanato Mama Shasanato मम शासनतो मम शासनता एवं विधं गुरुं यात्वा ज्ञानमुपार्यते स्वयं तत्सद्गुरुप्रसादेन मुक्तोऽहमिति भावये गुरुदर्शितमार्गेण मनःशुद्धिं तु कारये तं खण्डये सर्वं यत्किञ्चिदमगोचरम् एयं सर्वस्वरूपं च ज्ञानं च मानोच्यते ज्ञानमेव समं कुर्यान् नान्यपन्था द्वितीयका एवं श्रुत्वा महादेवी गुरुनिन्दं करोति या सायति नरकं घोरं यावच्चन्द्रदिवाकरो यावकल्पान्तकोरेहास्तावदेव गुरुं स्मरे गुरुलोपो न कर्तव्या स्वच्छन्दो यरिवा भवेत् ओङ्कारेण न वक्तव्यं प्राज्ञशिशैकतञ्चना गुरुरग्रेण वक्तव्यम् असत्यं च कराचना गुरुं त्वां कृत्यं कृत्य गुरुं निर्जित्य भारता अरण्ये देशे सा भवेत् ब्रह्मराक्षसा मुनिपिपानगिर्वापि सूर्यवशापितो यरि कालमृत्युभयाद्वापि गुरुरक्षति पार्वती आशक्ता ये सुरद्याश्च आशक्ता मुनयश्च च गुरुशापेन ते शीघ्रं सायं यान्ति न संशया मन्त्रराजमिरं देवी गुरुरित्याक्षरद्वयं स्मृतिवैरार्थवाक्येन गुरुसाक्षात् परम्पराम् स्मृति अविज्ञाय केवलं गुरुसेवकां ते वै सन्न्यासिना प्रोक्ता इतरे वेषधारिणां नित्यं ब्रह्मनिराकारं निर्गुणं बोधये परं सर्वं ब्रह्मनिराभासं दीपौरीपन्तरं यथा गुरो कृपा प्रसादेन अमरमं निरीक्षये अनेन गुरुमार्गेण स्वज्ञानं प्रवर्तते अब्रह्मस्तवपर्यन्तं परमं स्वरूपकं स्थावरं जगमं चैव प्रणमामि जगन्मयम् वन्देऽहं सच्चिदानन्दं वेरतीतं सरगुरुं नित्यं पूर्णं निराकारं निर्गुणं स्वमसंस्थितं परतरं ध्येयं नित्यमानन्दकारकं हृदयाकाशमध्यस्थं शुद्धस्फटिकसानिभं स्फटिका प्रतिमारूपं दृश्यते दर्पणे यथा तथा मणिचिराकारम् आनन्दं समित्युताम् अङ्गुष्ठमन्त्रपुरुषं दायतश्चिन्मयं मृडीं तत्र स्फुरति भावो या शृणुतां कथयं याम् अगोचरं च तागम्यं नामरूपविवर्जितं विजानीयात् स्वभावं ब्रह्म पार्वती यत गन्धस्वभावेन कर्पूरकुसुमारिषु शीतोष्णरि स्वभावेन तथा ब्रह्म च शाश्वतम् स्वयं तत्विदो भूत्वा स्तव्यं यत्र कुत्रचित् चित्तब्रह्मरवतत्र ज्ञानं भवति तदृशम् गुरुज्ञानं तथा कृत्वा स्वयं ब्रह्ममयो भवेत् पिण्डे पारे तथा रूपे मुक्तो सो नात्र संशयः श्रीपार्वती उवाच पिण्डं किं तु महादेव परं किं सामुदारुतं रूपतीतं च रूपं किम् एतदत्यायि शङ्करा श्रीमहादेव उवाच पिण्डं कुण्डलिनी शक्ति परमं सामुदारुतं रूपं बिन्दुरिति ज्ञेयं रूपतीतं निरञ्जनं दे मुक्ता परे मुक्ता रूपे मुक्ता वरानने रूपचिते तु ये मुक्ता ते मुक्ता नात्र संशयः स्वयं सर्वमयो भूत्वा परं तपं विलोकये परतरं नान्या सर्वमेतन्निरालयम् तस्य वालोकनं प्राप्य सर्वसङ्गविवर्जिता एकाकिनीश्वरा शान्ता तिष्ठते प्रसादता लादं वा तनलादं वा स्वबाहुलं च तां निष्कामेनेव भोक्तव्यं सदा सन्तुष्टते च सा सर्वज्ञा परमित्याहुर्देहि सर्वं मयो बुधा सरानन्द सरशान्तो रामते यत्र कुत्रचित् यत्रैव तिष्ठते सोऽपि सदिश पुण्यभाजनां मुक्तस्य लक्षणं देवी तव अग्रे कथितं मया उपरेशसता देवी गुरुमार्गेण मुक्तिरा गुरुभक्ति सतध्यानं सकलं तव कीर्तिताम् अनेन भवे कार्यं तव रमेमामते लोकोपकारकं देवी लौकिकं तु न भावये लौकिका कर्मणो यान्ति ज्ञानेनाववर्णवाम् यानि तु भावये सर्वं कर्मनिष्कर्म यत्कृतम् इदं तु भक्तिभावेन पातते शृणुते हरि प्रदातव्यं तत्सर्वं सफलं भवेत् गुरुगीतात्मकं देवी सुरतवं मयूरितां भवव्यारिविनाशार्थं स्वयमेव जपे सदा गुरुगीताक्षरे कं तु मन्त्ररसामिमं जपे अन्ये च विविधा मन्त्रा फलं नान्ति षोडशीम् अनन्तफलमप्नोति गुरुगीता जपेन तु सर्वपापप्रशमनं सर्वदारिद्र्यनाशनं कालमृत्युभयारं सर्वसङ्कटनाशनं यक्षराक्षसभूतानां चौरव्याघ्रभयापम् महाव्यारिहरं सर्वं विभूतिसिरिदं भवेत् अथवा मोहनं वश्यं स्वयमेव जपे सदा वाष्टसाने च दारिद्र्यं आशने रोगसम्भवं मेरिण्यं दुःखमाप्नोति कष्टे भवति निष्फलम् कृष्णजिनेयानसिद्धिर्मोक्षशीघ्रचार्मणि कुशासनेयानसिद्धि सर्वसिरुष्टुकम्बले श्रीवादुर्वया देवी आसने शुभ्रकम्बले उपविश्य ततो देवी जपेते क्राकमानसा Deyam shuklam cha shanyartam Vashiratasanam priye Abhichare Krishna varnam Pita varnam danagame Uttare shanti kamastu Vashe purvamukho jape Dakshine maranam proktam Pashime chadanagama Mohanam sarva bhutanam Vandamukshakaram vave Devaraja priyakaram Sarvaloka vashambhave Sarvesham sambalakaram Gunanam cha vivardhanam Dushkarmanashanam cheva Sukarma siddham vave Asidam sandaye karyam Navagrabhayapam Duswapnanashanam cheva Suswapna phaladayakam Sarva shanti karam nityam Tatavadyasa pucharam Avedavyam karam srinam Saubhagyadayakam sadam Ayurarogameshvarya Putropotra bhavardhanam Akamata shrivirava Japa moksha mavapnuyad Avedavyam sakamatu Labhate chanya janmani Sarva dukkam vayam vignam Nashaye chapaharakam Sarva bada prashamanam Dharmata kama mokshadam Yam yam chintayate kamam Tam tam prapnoti nishitam Kamitasya kamadenu Kalpana kalpaparapa Chintamani shintintasya Sarva mangalakarakam Moksha hetur jape nityam Moksha shriyam avapnuyam Bhoga kamo jape dyove Tasya kama falapradam Jape chatar sasurascha Ganapadyasna Vaishnava Shaivascha Siriram Devi Satyam Satyam na samshaya Atakamya Jape stanam Kattayami varanane Sagare vasaritire Atavari haralaye Shakti devale goste Sarva devale shubhe Pacheta datri muleva Mate vrindavane tata Nirmale stane Nityanusthanato piva Nirvedone namonena Tapametam samachare Shane bhaya bhumotu Vantamulantike tata Siddhyanti dotare mule Chutta vriksha sasaniro Guru putra varamurkas Tasya siddhyanti nanyata Shubha karmani sarvani Diksha vrata tapamsi cha Samsara malana shartam Bhava pashani vrittaye Guru gitambasi snanam Tadvadya kurute sada Saivacha guru sakshat Sada sa brahma vittama Tasya sthanani sarvani Pavitrani na samshaya Sarva shuddha pavitroso Swabhavadyatra tishtati Tatra deva gana sarve Kshetre pite vasanti Asanasta shayanova Nashashi damvaranapi Ashvaruddha gajaruddha Sukto vajagrato piva Shishmam sasaradhyani Guru Gita japena tu tasya darshana matrena punarjamana vidyate samudre chayata toyam shire kshiram grute grutam dine kumbhe yatakashas tatama paramadmani tate dvadyani jivama paramamani diyate ekena ramate gyani yatra tatra rivanisham evam viro mahamukta sarvara vartate buddha tasya sarva prayanena bhava bhaktin karoti yam sarva sande araiko mukto bhavati parvati mukti mukti dvayam tasya jivagre cha saraswati anena pranina sarve guru gita japena tu sarva sirim prabnuvanti mukti mukti na samshaya satyam satyam punah satyam dharmam satyam mayoditam guru gita samam nasti satyam satyam varanane eko deva eka dharma eka nishtha param tapam guru parataram nanyan nasti tattvam guru param mata danya pita danyo danyo vamshakulam tata danya cha vasura devi guru bhakti sadurlabha shariram indriyam pranas charta swajana bandava mata pita kulam devi guru evana samshaya akalpacha manakotya japa vrata tapakriya tat sarvam safalam devi guru santoshamatcha vidya tapo baleneva mandavagyashtayenara guru sevam na kurvanti satyam satyam varanane Brahma Vishnu Maheshascha Devashi Pitra Kinnara Siddhacharana Yakshascha Anepi Munayojana Guru Bhava Param Tirtham Anya Tirtham Nirarthakam Sarva Tirtha Shayo Devi Parangushtam Chavartate Japena jaya magnote chanata phalamapniyat hina karma vyajan sarvam stanani charamani cha japamena saram kurvan hina karma phalapadam guru gitam prayaneva sangrame rupasankate Kapanjayam avagnoti marane muktirayakam sarva karma cha savatra guru putra siddhyati idam rasya no vacham savagre kathitam maya sugopyam cha prayanena mamam swam cha priyatviti Swami Mukya Ganeshadi Vishnavariram Sa Parvati Manasapena Vaktavyam Satyam Satyam Vadamyaham Ativa Bhagavachitaya Shraddha Bhakti Utaya Cha Bhavaktavyamiram Devi Mama Masi Sada Priye Abhakte vanchake durte pakane nastike nare manasapena vaktavya guru gita karachana samsara sagar samudra nikamantram Brahmadideva Muni Pujita Siddha Mantram Daridra Dukkha Bhava Roga Vinasha Mantram Vande Mahabhayaram Guru Raja Mantram Iti Sri Skanda Purane Uttara Shwara Parvati Samvade Guru Gita Samapta Shri Gurudev Charanar Panamastu Nityanandaya Gurave Shisha Samsara Harine Bhaktakaye Kadehaya Namaste Chitsadatmane Nirvasanam Nirakamsham Savadosha Vivarjitam Niralambam Nirantangam Nityanandam Namamyam Nirmamam Nirahankaram Samavosashmakanchanam Samaduka Sukhamadiram Avarutam Namamyam Avinashi Namamanam Ekavignaya Tattvata Vitaraga Vayakrodam Nityanandam Namamyam Naham Deho Name Deho Jivanamamichi Eva Vignaya Santushtam Avarutam Namamyam Samastam Kalpanamantram Atma Mukta Sanatanam Iti Vignaya Sandruptam Nityanandam Namamyam Jnanagneda Karmanam Kama Sankalpa Varjitam Eyopare Ainamdam Avarutam Namamyam Swabhavene Vayo Yogi Sukham Rogam Navanshati Yadrushthalabha Santushtam Nityanandam Namamyam Neva Ninda Prasansabhyam Yasya Vikriyate Manam Amakriram Amanam Avadutam Namamyam Nityam Jagrara Vasayam Samnavadyo Vatishtate Nishchintam Chinmayamanam Nityanandam Namamyam Dvesham Nasi Priyam Nasti Nasti Asya Shubha Shubham Veradhyana Vilamdam Avadutam Namamyam Charam Pashati No Yastanti Chinmayam Nitya Yuktam Gunartitam Nityanandam Namamyam Yogidarshanam Atrena Avate Bhuvanatrayam Pavanam Jagamam Tirtam Avadutam Namamyam Sarva Pujam Sarapurnam Akandananda Vigram Svaprakasham Chiranandam Nityanandam Namamyam Nishkalam Nishkriyam Shantam Nirmalam Paramamritam Ganesha Purivasinam Avadutam Namamyam Yoga Purnam Tapomurtim Prema Purnam Sudarshanam Jnana Purna Tapamurtim Nityanandam Namamyam Durjana Sajjano Bhuyat Sajjana Shanti Mapnuyat Shanto Muche Tabandebhyo Mukta Shanyaye Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Vyayena Marge Namai Maisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu सत परजन्या पृथिवी शास्त्रशालिनी देशोऽयं शुभरहितो ब्रह्मणा सन्तु निर्भया सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वसरतदुर्गाणि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु सर्वकामानवनोतु सर्वसर्वत्र नन्दतु स्वस्ति मात्रौ च भिक्षेणोऽस्तु स्वस्ति गोभ्यो जगते पुरुषेभ्यः विश्वं सुभूतं सुविरात्रं नोऽस्तु योगे वदृशेमसूर्यम् ॐ शान्ति 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 आरति करुं सदा गुरु के करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु वर के आरती करुं गुरु वर की आरती करुं सदा गुरु के करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु वर की आरती करुं गुरु की जय गुरुदेव अमला विनाशी ज्ञान रूपा तरके वासी जय गुरुदेव अमला विनाशी ज्ञान रूपा तरके आरती करुं गुरुवर की आरती करुं सदा गुरु के करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु वर की आरती करुं गुरुवर की जब से शरण तुम्हारी आए अमृत से मीठे फल अब से शरण तुम्हारी आए अमृत से मीठे फल खाए शरण तुम्हारी कल्पवृक्ष तरुवर की आरती करुं गुरुवर की आरती करुं सदा गुरु के करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु वर की आरती करुं गुरुवर की ब्रह्म ज्ञान के पूर्ण प्रकाशक योग ध्यान के अतल प्रवर्तक ब्रह्म ज्ञान के पूर्ण प्रकाशक योग ध्यान के अतल प्रवर्तक जय गुरु थारे यथा मारे गुरखे आरती करुं गुरुवर की आरती कर Guru ke pyare Guruvar ki आरती करूं गुरुवर की अंधकार से हमें दिखलाया है हमारा उजाला Advaitam Niranjanam Narabindu Halatitam Asmai Shri Gurave Namah Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Satsang here at Shanti Mandir, Walden. We have a day of a little bit of a drizzle of rain, and before that, we had a wonderful day of sunshine yesterday, free of wind, and it gave us the opportunity to take walks and see that which is starting to spring forth from the earth. And so we have our asparagus arriving, shooting forth, bursting forth. We have our little pea shoots starting to come forth. A lot of the flowering on the trees, the flowers in the ground, our daffodils and the hyacinth, and the forsythia is on its way out. But the lovely offering of spring. And along with that, we've also concluded our 9-day Navratri celebration, which thanks to our in-house priest, Prabhu Mishra, and all of the staff here who supported that celebration with their steady presence, their seva tasks steadily that allowed us to be able to complete those 9 days of the morning Chandipat, 3 hours from 9 to 12, and in the evenings, our Lalita Sahasranamavali. And what's always magnificent and special and unique about Navratri is as one offers oneself to the recitation of either of the chants, reading the translation in between, a new word illumines itself, a new meaning. But as I was saying to someone, I said, it's like the unfoldment of our entire inner being, and that self which comes forth so strongly with so much presence, so much divinity, and it allows us to really hold tight to that. So especially when we have times that everyone is facing these days, very challenging, a lot of loneliness, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of depth of uncertainty or unpredictability. It's in these times that when we come together and we really create that strong, steady sadhana, practice together, sadhana together, kirtan, the chants, all of it, it just gives us that strength to be able to endure that which is transpiring and at the same time move through whatever that is very steadily. Everything can be helter-skelter everywhere else on the externally, but internally we can remain quiet and still, seeing all of it, not denying any of it, but being able to move through it with ease and with perseverance and faith. And that is something that all of the basic practices that we do here, that's what it does. It increases our faith, it makes it extremely steady to where everything else can be seen, as Baba would say, as Maya, or just as the external play, the Leela, but really with that depth of understanding. So for many of you, over the last few months, for the last 5 months, we're on month 5, I think, we've been enjoying Gurudev's talks once a month, and we've had the great fortune to be able to have the many different interviewers, 6 of them, who interviewed Gurudev during his visit here last September, October, November. So we've enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of Marty Katz. We enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of Larry Holmes. And today, our 5th month, we have part 1 with Dana Wilkinson. And as I say, each one of the interviews is truly a gem of its own, because each interviewer, no one knew what the other interviewers were going to ask questions-wise to Gurudev. So we have a varied smorgasbord, if you would like, of many different facets of the crown jewel of the yoga. So it gives us the opportunity to really hear and listen to the questions, which are always applicable to all of us, and then, of course, Gurudev's answers. So we're going to do that now. So that'll be about 35 minutes, I believe. Do you want to? 35? 43 minutes. So we'll be doing that first. So those of you who are here in the room, feel free to adjust your seating so that you can see clearly and nicely. And then after that, we'll be chanting Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Gurudev. And then lots of announcements at the end of Satsang. So thank you all. Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai.
Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai. Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai.
Good morning, Gurudev.
Good morning.
I have a couple of questions here for you. Let's see, the first one is about devotion. Shankaracharya says in the Viveka Chudamani that among the qualities that are useful in attaining liberation, bhakti is the greatest, devotion is the greatest. How do we cultivate and strengthen our devotion for bhakti?
Bhakti is actually a quality that we need to awaken within ourselves. No questions, no doubts. The idea is to trust one's own inner being, which is feel the pulsation of that energy, and see the divine, darshan of the divine everywhere. So it is, to me, I think of bhakti now as an outlook. So rather than just thinking I have to be there going, whatever my kirtan is, whatever my mantra is, whatever it is, that I've actually immersed myself so much in that feeling, in that, one of our bhajans says, Roma, Roma me Ram, every pore, every cell of this being is filled with the Lord, with divinity. So then, when we think of the story of the gopis and Krishna, where they begin to see Krishna in everything, whether it's a husband, whether it's a child, whether it's the cow, whether it's each other. In the early stages, you think, I'm not so sure if something's wacko, But as time begins to go on, and you begin to look at nature, you begin to look at life, you begin to look at all that which is taking place, and you realize in your own mind, it is a play. And you look and you go, wow. A story I shared some time back in Satsang comes to mind, which is a sadhu goes through a village, they welcome him. He's welcomed with garlands and flowers and so on and so forth. And he goes, oh Lord, amazing, And then he goes somewhere else. He's welcomed with stones. So instead of getting angry and upset that, one place I was welcomed with flowers, another place with stones, he goes, amazing is your play. That some places I get, delicate flowers, which fall upon me, which rain upon me. And some places I get rocks, solid rocks, stones. When I read this story years ago, I wondered if one could actually come to that place of such acceptance. And now, almost 40 years later, I think it's possible. So when we read Shankaracharya Moksha Karana Samagram Bhakti Reva Gariyasi, that for moksha, for liberation, bhakti is important. Because I believe as much as I study knowledge I may have, that knowledge needs to be supplemented with bhakti. So my thought is that it's like oil in the engine. The engine works, but for the engine to work properly, you need oil, you need lubrication. So bhakti is that lubrication. So whenever, by studying a lot, if I feel dry, because I have so much knowledge, so much information, that knowledge and information needs to become wisdom, wisdom which is alive in my own life. And to make that happen, I need bhakti. So often when Swamis give talks, they have these three things: karma, upasana, and jnana. So action, activities that I must perform in life, and that activity must be my own bhakti, my own upasana, my own worship. And then knowledge, which illumines why I am acting this way. Bhakti, which lubricates my entire being. And then the wisdom, the understanding of why. So I think, to me, that's what I believe bhakti is. And to cultivate and strengthen, Anand Mahima says, hang out with those who are in that space, you know. So alone, of course, I can imagine, I can try, but if I'm in a room full of people who are in that same space, it's easy. So I always tell people to go to something like the Kumbh Mela, to go to a place where there's a gathering of devotees. One wonders, what would I get there? And I think you meet in that crowd, amidst them, somebody who's in that space. And you see them, and I think it ignites or awakens that bhava, that feeling inside you. So I would say that is the best way to cultivate and strengthen the feeling of bhakti, is hang out, as Baba Muktananda say, in good company, in uplifting company.
Very nice. And of course, you recommend all the mantras and the chanting and all of that.
That all naturally will come, no? When we come in a group of bhaktas singing. Like, for example, I often think of the Varkaris, and 1 million of them going from Alandi to Pandharpur. And imagining, as I did with Baba Muktananda, when 1,000 people chanted Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, the kirtan, the sapta for 7 days, 7 nights. After the second or third day, you dream, you think Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. That kirtan becomes a part of you, because 1,000 people are chanting away. And then it was all over the ashram with the sound system. And then anybody you meet is actually in a space of ecstasy. Even the people who you normally not imagine that they could get there. Because I think they also connect to that greater space within themselves. Of course, regular chanting, regular kirtan, sitting and imagining yourself in that space. So I always think of 2 ways. One is Vyashti, which is my own individual practice, and one is Samashti, a group. And I think both are necessary. I must sit on my own and cultivate that bhava, that feeling, and I must go amidst a group of like-minded people and experience the same. And I believe what the scriptures say, that which I experience, that which I read in the scriptures, and that which I hear from the Guru. And Guru doesn't necessarily mean that one particular person, but what I hear in the group who are around the Guru. So that knowledge must become true in all three. So my dreams also should be filled with that. So way back in 1983 when we were in Haridwar, we met a Swami, and I just loved watching him. It was my first time experiencing some monk, some sadhu, who had really, whether he was real or fake or whatever, I don't know, but he was like, Tukaram bolta, Mirabai bolti, Tukaram says, Mirabai says, and he would say those things and he would actually cry. And so I wondered, my God, is this bhakti? Is this where I want to be? And over time I think, yes, I want to physically experience within myself that which I read or that which I hear. So of course all that comes to mantra, and I think of mantra as a way of cleansing, of purifying. So this is sadhana. So 3 things you must do, which is first of all, study the scriptures, because that's how you fill the mind with knowledge, with information. Second, practice. So whatever you hear, whatever you read, whatever you understand, how do I apply this in my life? And then ultimately just sit. You've done 2 external things, now internalize. And just breathe in, enliven that.
Well, I guess the next question I have fits very well with that, is that what is the importance of ahimsa, or the feeling of non-violence, for living a wonderful life, let's say?
I would say that I have to actually feel ahimsa or non-violence at all levels of my being. Many people think it's an external act of non-violence, but I believe no, that my thoughts, my emotions, my physical actions, all of this actually has to become non-violent. Because if I simply physically act as if I'm non-violent, and within myself I feel otherwise, I'll be disturbed. I would have in psychology, they'll probably name me something, that I'm feeling something, I'm acting some way. And I think when a sage tells us to be in a place of ahimsa or non-violence, the sage is expecting that you are feeling that, you are thinking that, and therefore you are acting. So you basically come to a place of detachment. What I have come to observe over time is that food actually plays a very important role in my entire thought process. Society doesn't really talk about that today, that food plays, the Upanishads talk about this, that food affects how you think. So I believe that in order to become non-violent, I'd have to actually first maybe become vegan in our terms today. Vegetarian, vegan. Vegan, of course, means there's no animal products. Vegetarian means there's some milk and dairy and so on. Slowly to get to that place where I begin to realize that harming that animal is also an ahimsa. And I keep reminding people all over the world that the way animals are killed today for meat is also very brutal, because we as a consumer want everything cheap. So the factory, the company, whoever is creating it for me wants it cheap. So finding the cheapest methods to deliver me the good as a consumer so I can get it cheap. But in all of that, I think that nobody is looking at ahimsa. Nobody is looking at what is the right way to go about creating the situation so everybody is happy. I saw a documentary a couple of years ago, and I was just amazed at the fact that people do that. And then some of the people in the documentary said after working in that factory producing meat, they couldn't work there anymore either, because they could see the fear of the animal. And I think if I am consuming fear, then I'll generate fear. And if I generate fear, I'll become violent. What we see in our society today is probably that. I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? I don't know. I think that terrorism that we are seeing today, as much as we want to say it's politics, I think it is what we have bred into our society. Unknown to ourselves, unknown to the people acting that way, that nobody is talking about peace. If you read the Indian scriptures, we're always saying Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace at all levels. May the divine beings who we don't see, who we don't know, they be at peace. Nature be at peace. And today we see hurricanes and all of these nature-related things that are taking place, which you think, oh, it's normal. It's that time of the year, is what people tell me sometimes. But we have seen the devastation and the disaster it has created. And then adhyatmic, spiritual, my own, peace. Because if that divinity is not at peace, nature is not peace, I am not going to be at peace. I am not at peace, nature is not going to peace, the divine is not going to be at peace. So it's like a circle. So we can't say that that is not at peace and therefore I'm not at peace. I think each one of us needs to be at peace. So the process of meditation to me, really, if I sit, I am actually putting the vibrations of ahimsa into the earth. So over time, as I've thought of a sadhu somewhere in the world, not just in India, but anywhere in the world, a person who's sitting, just doing japa, mantra repetition, or meditating, or studying the scriptures, that sadhu is actually creating spanda of vibrations of ahimsa. And so I imagine at times what it would be like. We've seen pictures of sages with wild animals around them. We've heard of stories where a sage is sitting and a wild animal comes towards him and just becomes calm. I've been working on that myself for the last, 10 years or so. When I see an animal in the wild, I try to stop. I try to make myself still. And I want that the animal doesn't run away. Sometimes I succeed in holding a deer's attention for a few seconds and not to have a thought to scare it or to make sound or make noise. Since I've heard about horse whisperers and dog whisperers and all these kind of whispers, so I think, okay, I'm not going to become a whisperer, but how can I come to a place of stillness so that stillness radiates so that animal begins to feel that. And I have seen that recently during the lockdown days. I have a dog called Mohini in Magod. When I was agitated and I would go to her, she would not respond to me. But when I was loving and I would go to her, she would want to be loved. It took me a little while to understand this, because sometimes I thought, oh, she's tired, or she's not in the mood. But then when I began to subtly watch, I realized, no, she has just responding to me. I am agitated or frustrated, anger, whatever. And she's like, okay, you be in your own place, But when I felt love genuinely, she would respond. She would want to lick, she would want to put her legs up in the air. She wanted that I love her. And after a few times, when it dawned upon me, I thought, wow, this is interesting. That an animal that, is here, lives with me, I'm with her, responds to this subtle energy. And I think we as humans need why meditation is so important is this, because each day, every day, I need to become aware of where am I at mentally, where am I at emotionally, am I really calm? And so then my walk is calming, my speech is calming, my activities are calming. I can say I am calm and everything else of me is not. So when we talk about ahimsa or non-violence, that first of all, it's at all levels. So the food I intake, the thoughts that are happening within myself, my emotions, my physical being, the music I play, the fragrances I have, all of this, I would say, has to have an effect. So even cleaning supplies that we use, I think, would have to become, living with Baba Bhaktivedanta, I realized you have to be subtle in your smell, you'll be subtle in your sounds, your darshan or drishti, your vision has to be soothing. So this is ahimsa. So ahimsa is not just one thing, non-violence, but ahimsa is at so many levels. So I can sit here and think something and be so nice to you, but in my mind I'm thinking something else. And I believe that just as much as the dog or anything else picks up, the individual also picks up that something is funny. So we want to come to a place. So when I think of non-violence, I think of soothing. It's like putting something on that's soothing. So that's when I have over the years thought of how I would be if I was always non-violent. I think I would be a soothing being, a soothing person. So I think when we go to darshan of a great being, when we sit in their company, in their presence, that's what we experience. So that's, in essence, non-violence.
Yeah, that's it really reminds me of the idea in Shaivism that every moment is an opportunity to experience that spanda, the vibration, the consciousness, and it takes that kind of awareness that you're describing, that subtle awareness where you're really tuning in, and we could think of the bhakti that you just mentioned. It sort of blends right into the ahimsa, and there's no real difference. You're really just talking about consciousness or awareness. And you said in the beginning, you're awakening something. Do you have any specific advice for someone who feels a calling to worship the devi?
Well, I believe it's worshipped all over the world, called by many names. It's actually the mother. That's how I think of it. So I would tell the person who wants to worship the Devi, first find what aspect of the Devi you are drawn to. Because in the Indian tradition we have plenty, and in other traditions also I have seen plenty. So what form, what features are you drawn to? Procure that picture and have it with you in your space. And then begin to, create a connection, a relationship. And listen to the Devi chants. We have texts, we have kirtan, we have mantras. Find the mantra for that particular deity, particular form, particular expression. Slowly begin to repeat that as much as possible. And if you have the ability, light a lamp, light some incense, offer a flower, and each day, just like you say good morning, hello to everyone else that you see and, run onto, begin to say, good morning, namaste, salutations to that form. And start reading about it. There's plenty of books that have been written on Shakti, on the goddess. Ultimately, I would say you would have to realize that it's the mother. And Mother, not just a small-minded mother, but a mother who's, big, all-encompassing, who's able to just hold you. And we read, that when a mother loves you with an open heart, open mind, a mother corrects you, disciplines you, it's also with love, with an open mind, because the mother feels that the child needs, to be taken care of in both ways. The poet saints say it's like creating a pot where on the inside you've given the hand of support and the outside you are, hitting it. So both are necessary. So I think when we think of the mother might be holding us on the inside and, doing this on the outside. So we can't get angry, we can't get upset. And it has to become a joyful worship. I think in our times, Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru, is probably the most predominant example of the main story we often hear is Swami Vivekananda, who wants to ask, and Ramakrishna sends him once, twice, go ask. But when he walks into that space of Kali, the energy is so overwhelming. And I think what I realize myself in life, is that, we have small needs, petty desires. We think, of course, in our mind, it's like, it's a big thing. So you come in front of the divine, and when you see or experience or feel the divinity, you realize, what am I asking for? It seems so meaningless. And so, when we come to realize that Devi is Shakti, is energy, and the relationship I create with that picture, with that statue, then you slowly begin to feel that vibration. At Shanti Mandir Magod, we bought a statue in 2006. A very small statue, heavy though, in weight. And now I think, oh my God, we had no place for it. It was in the office, it was in this big space called Sri Mukteshwar Dham. The Shanti Hastakala women kept it. The boys kept it for a while. So she traveled around the ashram, and many different worshippers got all excited. For the first time this August, we created a space for her. And we created a little temple for her. So she's now seated properly, and we've asked some of the women who live in that ashram to be the pujari. The boys sit outside, they chant the chandi part, they do all the mantras, they do everything, but the women are the ones who actually go into that little sanctum sanctorum and worship her. And it's been an amazing experience for myself, and I'm sure for others also. I feel that 14 years of her moving around, something happened, I don't know what, but now she's finally come and sat here. Baba Muktananda had a Swami named Swami Shivananda, who was an eccentric astrologer, and I've known him since I was a very young little boy, actually, a few years old. And I've seen him over the years, and he wore no shoes. At least I never saw him with shoes. And I heard that he never wore shoes. He passed away a year or two ago. And he would always, look in the sky and have these prophecies. So one day he told me, there will be a big Devi temple here. And then he said, okay, let's go. So then we went to lunch. And I'm the type, I don't ask for details, because I think, okay, it's a prophecy, it's whatever, it will happen in its own time. So when we created this space, it's not big, it's just a small space. I thought, wow, almost 17 years later, there's this Devi temple that's come about in Shanti Mandir Magod. And then I remembered Bhagwan Nityananda, when he came and settled in Ganeshpuri, he has a temple to Bhadrakali. And people say that he was like, okay, we need to make a statue, we need to install her because I promised her that when I came to Ganeshpuri, I would install her. So everybody looks at the statue and doesn't like the statue, and the people come to Bhagavan and say, that's ugly, we can't. So he says, okay, let's just put a bed sheet over her. So they put a bed sheet over her, and the next morning they take the bed sheet off, install her, and Bhagavan says, okay, how is she? And everybody's like, oh wow, she's beautiful. I don't know if anything happened or didn't happen or what the magic was. And I feel the same, or felt the same on this, what we call her Nileshwari, in the 17 years of her traveling around. And now she's come, situated, settled. I have come to a place within myself, now at 50 plus, where I think just to feel that vibration inside is what's important. Okay, you must do all of the necessary things outside or have somebody do it for you, but you must feel that, So, fortunately for us, we have Sri Muktan Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya, which has created so many young men who are able to sing the Vedic mantras, sing the Chandi part, wave the lamp, do the worship, do all that. And I can just sit and witness and watch and observe and feel the vibrations of that being done. I don't have to be the one. And I think each worshipper, each devotee should come to this place. I say, don't worship because of fear. Worship because of love. So don't think, oh my God, Baba is going to be angry, the Devi is going to get angry, or the God, the Guru, the this, the that is going to get upset with me. Why? If they are consciousness and they are in that space of expanded awareness at all times, my lighting a lamp or not lighting a lamp, my offering a flower or not offering a flower, for them, the entire nature is an offering. The sun is the lamp, the moon is the lamp. It's the arati we sing, arati lijo. It says, Nabha or dharani, the sky and the earth are the arati tree. Chandra, Suraj, Do, Deepa, Ujala. Both the moon and the sun are the lamps. And we've sung this for a long time. And I just began to understand. We have a wonderful human being up north India. He's 80 plus years old. He's a civil engineer, so he's in construction, retired. When we sing Arati Karun, he just takes his hand, he goes, Arati Karun, Sadaguru ki Karun, Sadaguru ki Pyare Guru ki, Arati Karun Guru ki. There is no lamp physical in his hand, but with his hand he's waving. And just to watch him over the years, I realized this is the place where you want to come to. That you don't need a physical, actual ritualistic external worship. But it's like that verse we sing in the Shiva Manas Puja, where everything is worship. And Baba often talked about this also, where Na Shivam Vidyate Kochit from Shaivism. Where is there that Shiva is not? So whether you worship the Devi, whether you worship the Shiva, the male, the female, whether you worship the Guru, or in Baba's words, worship your own self. That's the place where we actually want to come. So working on that.
Okay, here's an interesting question. We see many people over the years exploring various paths in order to replace or supplement the experience they may have had with Baba and the yoga of the siddhas. What's the value of staying steadfast on one path for one's whole lifetime?
I believe in commitment. I believe that any relationship in the human life would like a steadfast commitment. Our society today actually doesn't believe in this. It believes in, okay, I have done that, I've been there, want something new, something other. And I think that's part of the issue that has created all of this mental, instability. For me, I feel fortunate that my parents were already devotees of Bhagwan Nityananda, of Baba Muktanand. I came into this through birth and never went anywhere, never looked for anything. But since Baba Muktananda's Mahasamadhi, I have visited and been, to many, many, many places. Mamaleshwar Swami Brahmananda played a pivotal role in my life after Baba Muktananda's Mahasamadhi for the years that he lives, almost 20 plus years with Baba Muktananda, then 20 plus years with Mamaleshwar Swami Brahmananda ji. But he was clear that my Guru was Baba. I was clear that my Guru was Baba. But yet in that period of time in my life, I needed support. I needed encouragement. I needed somebody to just tell me, okay, keep going this way. And I think a true Guru, a great sage, will really do that for you. He'll never try to hog you and say, come, be my disciple. Baba Muktananda himself talks about this, that Harigiri Baba and Zipurana told him, go to Ganesh Puri. Your Guru is there. I mean, they could have both said, I am your Guru. But no, they both sent him to Bhagwan Nityananda, and that's where Baba got Shaktipat. I think when we think that a path is lacking something, really, I am lacking something. Any real path that's full in itself, that's complete in itself, has everything. And I think it takes so long, first of all, to understand myself, mind, and then to understand the other. So to create a lifelong relationship. For example, people always wonder, how does it work in India with arranged marriages? And I think it's a very interesting process, because I have to get to know her, she has to get to know me, which is true in any relationship. And over time, you begin to develop a faith, you begin to develop a trust. And I've seen that with elderly people and people who've been committed in a marriage or in a friendship, in a relationship, that they come to that place of inner security. They never wonder, worry, doubt. There's just that, again, acceptance, And then you sometimes say, oh, he's like this or she's like this. And they laugh and they're like, yeah, I know that's just how he is, or that's just how she is. And I feel the same with my relationship with Baba Muktananda. There's so much we don't understand. And I don't even know if we'll begin to understand why. But yet, what I realize and feel that there was an experience then that is there even today, almost 40 years later. And I believe that it was not his, and again, it is not mine. It is, I don't know if I want to call it consciousness or Shakti. It is just, it's a feeling. And the beauty of what a great Guru does, I think, for example, we think of the Dalai Lama today, or we think of Thich Nhat Hanh. These are the two well-known Buddhist people in our times. They just took the teachings, which is what I feel Baba Muktananda did too, and just made it real for our time today. They didn't say that I'm going to create something new, I'm going to create something other, but they simply took the tradition, the culture that they came from, came to the Western society, to the Western world, and said, here, I am teaching this. I'm teaching meditation, I'm teaching compassion, I'm teaching mindfulness, whatever the terms or words were. We see that in the tradition of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. 150 years later, the Swamis are simply teaching the philosophy of Vedanta. And nobody is saying, it's my teaching. And I think that's where we need to be careful of. When somebody says, I am going to tell you something, I am going to teach you something, I think that's what we need to be careful of. We have a verse which says, Narayanam samadhambam Shankaracharya madhyamam asmad acharya padyantam vande guru paramparam. I offer salutations to the lineage of gurus, to the tradition of gurus, which comes from Narayana himself, from that divine himself. Adi Shankara came in the middle, and every so often a great sage comes along, organizes it a little bit better so that we understand it today. And whoever is the guru on the seat today, I offer my salutations to him. And I think the guru also must remember that I am simply the reed, the flute, through whom that consciousness, grace, Shakti is flowing. All of this takes time to understand and to realize that all I need to do is step out of my ego, step aside, and just allow grace to flow. And I think that's true for the guru and for the disciple. So what I think people are looking for when they are looking for is an external excitement. We experienced that with Baba Muktananda when we traveled with him on any of the tours. We experienced that with him in the last years of his life, a few thousand people. He was always excited. Everyone was always excited. But all of that is only for a period of time. What is important is the sadhana, is the practice. So I tell people that what you need to create is that schedule, is the lifestyle he gave us. Wake up early, do your meditation, do your hatha yoga, do your reading, whatever it is that you do your chant, connect to that divine, have your breakfast or whatever it is that you need to, and somewhere in the middle of the day, take a few moments to just reconnect to that, because now it's been a few hours. Go about your work, do whatever needs to be done. Come home, take a moment to wash your hands and face. Anyway, COVID nowadays makes you do all that. Just wash up. Take a few moments to again connect to that. If you want to sing something, if you want to pray, if you want to meditate, whatever it is, have your dinner, eat something. And then again, as you lay in bed, for a few moments, if you have a text you like to read, if you have a text you want to sing, do some mantra. And Baba Muktananda will say, as you slide into bed, go into meditation. So that the 6 to 8 hours of sleep is not just sleep, but it's a conscious meditation. So I think steadfast in any relationship, I think is important. You get to know each other well and makes life easy, makes life simple. And I think once we start changing our human relationships, I think there's so much time that's wasted in just thinking that it's going to be better somewhere else. And I think for myself, it will be 60 years in a couple of years, and I am grateful. I'm grateful to everyone who has played a role in my life, who is still in my life, and I think it's so much fun because you can just see each other and not even say anything and feel good. You're just happy. And there's a level of comfort that comes in a continued, constant relationship. You can just pick up the phone or just send an email. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to say anything. There it is. So that's what I would tell anybody. Just commit to the practice, commit to the sadhana, and I believe you can take information from other places that will make your life better, that will make your relationship better. But the simple way I put it is I tell people, you have one committed person in your life, and you can have lots of friends. Nobody tells you not to have friends. You can have friends. Or you can have a few friends, however you are. We're all unique in our own way.
Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Gurudev. Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru, Jaya Gurudev. Danya Danya Pradakshina Satguru Raya Chigale Varasuravara Vimana Uttaraya Tavai tirte gadali amari karni kashi Kanya danya pradakshina Sadguru Raya Sigal Parasuravara Vimana Uttara Yasi Mridanga Thala Gola Bhakta Bhavarte Gati Mridanga Thala Mridanga Thala Gola Bhakta Bhavarte Gati Mridanga Nama Sankirtane Brahmanande Nachati Kanya Danya Pradakshina Sadguru Rayati Gal Parasuravara Vimana Uttara Yati Koti Brahma Hatya Harti Karta Dandavata Koti Brahma Hatya Harti Karta Dandavata Lotangana Galita Moksha Lole Kaya Danya Danya Pradakshina Sadguru Rayati Gal Varasuravara Vimana Uttarayati Guru Bhajanacha Mahima Nakale Agama Nigamasi Guru Bhajanacha Mahima Nakale Agama Nigamasi Guru Bhajanacha Anubhavate Janati Te Guru Parite Rai Bhasi Danya Danya Pradakshina Sadguru Rayati Gal Parasuravara Vimana Uttarayati Pradakshina Karni Deha Bhave Vaila Pradakshina Karni Deha Bhave Vaila Shri Rangam Magavitala Pude Ubaraila Danya Danya Pradakshina Sadguru Rayati Gal Parasuravara Vimana Uttarayati Danya Danya Pradakshina Sadguru Rayati Gal Parasuravara Vimana Uttarayati जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो हे योगेश्वर हे ज्ञानेश्वर हे योगेश्वर हे ज्ञानेश्वर हे सर्वेश्वर हे परमेश्वर हे सर्वेश्वर हे परमेश्वर निज कृपा बरसावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो हम बालक तेरे द्वार पे आए हम बालक तेरे द्वार पे आए मंगल दरस दिखावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो शीश झुकाया करें तेरी आरती शीश झुकाया करें तेरी आरती प्रेम सुधा बरसावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो अंतर में युग युग से सोई अंतर में युग युग से सोई चित्ते शक्ति को जगावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो साची ज्योत जगे हृदय में साची ज्योत जगे हृदय में तो अमनार जगावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मुक्तानंद विनाशी जीवन मुक्तानंद विनाशी शरण शरण लगावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो मेरा अंतर तिमिरा मिटावो सद्गुरु ज्योत से ज्योत जगावो त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणा त्वमेव Shanti, Shanti. Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. So this concludes our Sunday morning satsang, and thank you all for your presence here today.
Esto concluye nuestro satsang de hoy y gracias a todos por su presencia aquí.
And the beauty of all of these interviews is that they're all up on YouTube.
Lo hermoso de estas entrevistas es que todas quedan en YouTube.
So everyone has the opportunity to go and visit them and use that as that nourishment and that fuel for our sadhana over and over and over again.
Y todos tenemos la oportunidad de ir ahí, visitarlo nuevamente tantas veces como queramos para tener un combustible para nuestra sadhana una y otra vez.
And I really want to encourage and inspire everyone to go and see all of the interviews. We still have many more. Next month we'll have Dana again for part 2 of Gurudev's interview.
Y quiero animar a todos a que vuelvan a ver otra vez las entrevistas. Ahora vimos la primera parte de la entrevista de Dana y el mes próximo será la parte 2.
And then we'll be having Larry Walensky for 2 months.
Y luego tendremos a Larry Walensky por 2 meses.
And then we'll be having Kelly Lodice for 2 months.
Y luego Kelly Lorais por 2 meses.
And then we'll be having Niteshwari for
Y
the
luego aquí a
Spanish-speaking
Niteshwari.
people for 2 months.
2 meses para los que hablan español.
So again, a really great way to be able to stay connected, and even from our own living rooms, to be able to continue to listen to all of the questions and the answers, and to be able to really imbibe it in our own time.
Y desde que estamos en casa o aún en nuestra recámara, podemos ahí seguir escuchando las preguntas y las respuestas y seguirlas haciendo nuestras.
So I have lots of announcements, so I'm going to try to move through them as quickly and as gracefully as I possibly can.
Tengo muchísimos avisos. Quiero moverme y hacerlo lo más rápido y con la mayor gracia que pueda.
And they're all important ones, so therefore I would like Niteshwari to translate for all of our Spanish-speaking Sangha.
Y todos son importantes, por eso tengo aquí a Niteshwari para que lo traduzca para el Sangha que habla en español.
A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks.
Ha sucedido muchísimo en las últimas 2 semanas.
In addition to us all trying to conquer the virus within and without through the Chandipat and the Navratri.
Adicionalmente, todos nosotros hemos tratado de vencer al virus, tanto interior como exteriormente. Interior mediante el Chandipat.
Gurudev had visited Haridwar for the Mahakumbh Mela.
Gurudev fue de visita a Haridwar para la Maha Kumbh Mela.
And during this time, one of the Shanti Mandir Sri Muktananda Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya students,
Y en este tiempo, uno de los estudiantes de Sri Muktananda Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya.
Yeah. You said what he said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, was there. And to all of us, he was known as Deepak Tiwari,
Alguien a quien conocíamos como Deepak Tiwari,
the Pakwaj player,
el que toca el pakwach.
who had studied with the Gundencha brothers in, I believe it's Bhopal,
Estudió con los hermanos Gundecha en Bhopal.
and he made it to Australia
Llegó a viajar a Australia
and shared his drumming and music with all of the Australians on Gurudev's last visit.
y durante la última visita de Gurudev compartió su tambor y su canto ahí con los australianos.
And he is the first student of the school
Y es el primer estudiante de la escuela
to take sannyas.
que toma sannyas.
So as you can imagine, it's quite an event for the Magod ashram especially, but for all of us to have a new sannyasi.
Es un gran evento para todos, especialmente en Magod, pero para todo Shanti Mandir tener un sannyasi.
And going forward, his name, he will be known as Swami Prakashananda Saraswati.
Y de hoy en adelante su nombre o se le conocerá como Swami Prakashananda Saraswati.
And over here on the Walden side of things,
Y acá, en el lado Walden de las cosas,
another one of our Sri Muktananda Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya students,
uno más de nuestros estudiantes de la escuela que se llama Swami Muktananda Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya,
has received his approval notice for his R1 visa.
ha recibido la autorización para
In
tener,
the upcoming 2 to 3 months, we'll be expecting his arrival here for the ashram.
y en los próximos 2 o 3 meses esperamos su llegada al ashram aquí.
So his name is Govind Bavaria.
Y su nombre es Govind Bavaria.
And also, we also would like to take this opportunity to welcome
También queremos dar la bienvenida
Jimena Avalos from Argentina, from Rosario.
a Jimena Ábalos, que viene de Rosario, Argentina.
She arrived this last week and has completed all of her quarantine and her negative COVID test.
Llegó la semana pasada y ya cumplió con todos los protocolos del COVID y con su prueba negativa.
And she'll be
de-
here for
del
very
COVID.
many months,
Va a estar muchos meses aquí.
serving here at the ashram.
Aquí va a quedar en el ashram.
And as always, the Argentinians always bring a beauty,
Los argentinos, las argentinas siempre traen una belleza,
a grace, a
gracia,
devotion,
devoción.
and bhakti. So
Y
we're
bhakti.
really happy to have you here.
Muy
and we look forward to your
contentos de
presence
que estés
here.
aquí.
And also having somebody from Rosario is also very dear to us.
Y siempre tener a alguien aquí de Rosario es muy querido para
As
nosotros.
we all know, the Rosario Center there is a center that is with a number of young people,
Sabemos que el centro en Rosario está más o menos lleno de gente joven,
young seekers,
buscadores jóvenes,
very committed
muy comprometidos,
very dedicated
muy dedicados
to Baba's path and to Gurudev's mission.
al camino de Baba y a la misión de Gurudev.
So now we move towards the emotional part.
Ahora la parte emocional.
So most of you would have received in your inboxes this last week 2 tributes.
Habrán recibido en sus charolas de entrada 2 tributos
And both tributes definitely are worth and deserving of being read.
y los 2 en realidad merecen ser leídos.
The first one is Madan Gopal Sharma.
El primero de ellos, Madan Gopal Sharma,
Lived in New Delhi
vivió en Nueva Delhi,
and 88 years of age.
88 años de edad.
We share the same birthday.
Teníamos el mismo cumpleaños.
And he was known for his love of chanting.
Se le reconocía por su amor al canto
And he was always with Gurudev on all of the northern India tours.
y siempre estaba con Gurudev en sus tours del norte de India.
He had a very, very strong presence for Shanti Mandir, and especially in the north.
Tenía una presencia muy grande para Shanti Mandir, especialmente en el norte.
We're pleased that at least he passed away at home
Estamos satisfechos de que murió en casa
and from being older and older age.
y por ser mayor, por ser anciano.
In many of the satsangs, almost all of them, whenever Gurudev would be in Delhi or Haridwar or any part of the north, people's homes, he always traveled with, I don't know, what is the name of that instrument? Janja.
En todas partes donde Gurudev viajaba, ya sea en Delhi, en Haridwar u otros lugares del norte, esta persona siempre llevaba un instrumento llamado janjar.
And it's a long piece of wood like this.
Es un trozo de madera
You
alargado
need two hands to shake it.
que necesitas 2
And
manos
it
para
kind of has the
sacudirla
little rings like we have on a tambourine.
y tiene como anillos, como si fuera un tamborín.
And so he would always sing, Mohe Lagila Taka Guru Charananaki.
Okay. Y luego cantaba, cantaba en hindi una hermosa canción.
And he always sang bhajans about the Guru and and devotion.
Y siempre eran bhajans acerca del guru.
And I'm telling you, it didn't matter his age, the enthusiasm, and with every single bit of breath, just pulsating that thing like this. Mohe Lagila Taka Guru Charananaki. With so much feeling.
Bueno, y no importando la edad de él, siempre tenía ese entusiasmo, como dice ella, ¿no? Moverse mucho, cantar fuerte, bien.
And then he would sing the Sundarkand in the later years. He started to sing the Sundarkand parts at all of the Shivaratri celebrations.
En todas las celebraciones de Shivaratri, en los últimos años de su vida, siempre cantaba Sundarkand.
Whenever we were in the same place at the same time, he would always ask me to sing Pagagungaru.
Ajá. Donde quiera que íbamos, siempre me decía que yo cantara paga gungaro.
And I would be like, it's boring. Everybody already knows that. We've done it so many times.
Yo le decía, qué aburrido, todo el mundo ya lo ha oído muchas
And I would
veces.
say, no, I learned this one. Let me try this one. Let me try this one. And he would always let me do it, but then he would make me go back to the original one.
Yo le decía, me aprendí otros vayan, yo quisiera hacer algo nuevo aquí, pero al terminar de hacerlos me decía, no, quiero que cantes este.
He was known as Sharmaji.
Se le llamaba
He
Sharmaji,
was known to some as Sharma uncle.
también se llamaba el tío
He was known
Sharma,
as Bauji,
Bauji,
Bapuji,
Bapuji también,
and Tauji.
Tauji.
He loved Ras Malai,
Le encantaba mucho el Ras Malai,
and the Rasgulla, but mostly the Ras Malai. And every time we came to Delhi, he would say, you've got to try this Ras Malai. This one is even better than what I've brought you many times before. He would go every corner of Delhi, Karol Bagh, and try to find this Ras Malai with the best fragrance, the best sweet, the best quality for Gurudev.
es un dulce. Entonces él siempre decía, ahora lo tienes que probar. Ahora encontré un lugar que es aún mejor que cuando la vez anterior. Y se recorría toda la ciudad buscando el mejor Ras Malai, el más dulce para Gurudev.
And then in Haridwar, you would see him with all of the elderly men, all in their white clothing,
Y en Haridwar se sentaba con todos los ancianos, todos vestidos de blanco,
and always lined up in the front of the ashram, sitting on the front of the ashram benches in the evenings, drinking their warm milk before going to bed.
y todos sentados en un banco enfrente del ashram tomándose su leche tibia antes de irse a dormir.
And they would try to source the best cow's milk.
Y siempre encontraban la mejor leche de las mejores vacas.
So along with him, the same day, 30 minutes apart, a different home,
Y entonces el mismo día, con 30 minutos de diferencia en el mismo hogar,
Ram Mohan Sharma,
Ram Mohan Sharma,
who is related to Sharmaji,
que es pariente de Sharmaji,
a brother-in-law, brother-in-law,
el cuñado,
and he passed away unexpectedly.
y murió inesperadamente.
So for us, it's a really, really time of contemplation, deep prayer, and really for the Sangha to really treasure such people and to realize that each one of us, as we do our sadhana, as we practice, may we become noble.
Entonces, es importante para nosotros contemplar todo esto, ver a dónde llegaron estas personas y ver que con el paso del tiempo llegar hasta ese nivel,
And filled with such humility.
llenos de humildad.
As somebody wrote, they said we lost 2 pillars of Shanti Mandir in one day.
Alguien escribió esto, perdimos 2 pilares de Shanti Mandir en un solo día.
Mamaji, over the last probably maybe 10 to 20 years, became also a very, very familiar presence to the Shanti Mandir community.
Y Mamaji se volvió una presencia muy conocida y siempre ahí para el centro de Shanti Mandir.
And he truly was the embodiment of seva.
Y realmente era la personificación.
So we look to those who are still there in Delhi, and we share their mourning.
Entonces, estamos pensando en todos los que están en Delhi y compartimos su duelo.
They passed away on April 18th.
Ellos fallecieron el 18 de abril.
Every day has been filled with the receival of texts and phone calls and emails and just, please, Baba, give the Sangha the strength to bear this loss.
Entonces, cada día, se entrecruzan mensajes, llamadas telefónicas, emails, entre ellos pidiéndole a los santos o a los dioses que les den fuerza para reponer esta pérdida.
A great blessing to know both of them.
Una gran bendición haber conocido
Great
a
grace to
ambos.
spend time in their company,
Increíble haber pasado tiempo en su compañía
and they'll be deeply missed.
y los vamos a extrañar mucho.
Gurudev and company have all returned back to Magod, safe
Gurudev-
and sound in the ashram.
Gurudev y todos su grupo regresaron sanos y salvos al ashram en Magod.
And so we all continue to pray for the Shanti Mandir community that all of us remain safe,
Entonces seguimos orando porque toda la comunidad de Shanti Mandir en el mundo sigamos
strong in our practice,
fuertes en nuestra práctica
and with the joy of life and all that we can possibly do to sustain Baba Muktananda's meditation revolution.
y con la alegría de vivir y de mantener la revolución de la meditación de Baba Muktananda
and all the jewels of wisdom that Gurudev continuously shares with all of us through each and every one of his talks.
y todas las joyas de sabiduría que Gurudev Swami Nityananda comparte con nosotros en cada una de sus charlas.
So I think that's it for now. With that, everybody's invited to come up for darshan, followed by lunch prasad.
Entonces creo que eso es todo por ahora y todo el mundo está invitado a venir al darshan y después al almuerzo prasad.
And for those who are here in person, another reminder, we have a small table outside with items that are for you to take home. So anybody who wishes to take any of those vessels, you're welcome to do so. Or if you wish to gift them to someone else, that's also fine.
Recordarles que hay una mesa aquí afuera en la cual están artículos que pueden tomar ya sea para su uso personal o si los quieren regalar también, eso está muy bien.
And next week, satsang, the 1st of May, is it May 1st? May 2nd?
Third.
May 3rd, we'll have Dana Wilkinson.
Entonces el próximo satsang, la persona que va a hablar va a ser Dana Wilkinson.
Sadhgurnad Maharaj.